Hi there and welcome to the post-match reaction from Ibrox, where Rangers have somehow defeated Hearts 1-0 in arguably the most turgid game of football I've watched in a long time. You can tell this is going to be a nice positive one. I'm Kyle McLean and I'm joined by Craig Dennett. Firstly, Craig, we'll get into the reaction to the team lineup. Butland, Tav, Suter, Balogun, Jefte, Barron, Raskin, Dio, Czerny out on the right, Bayrami out on the left and Dessers up top. What was your reaction to that starting 11?
I think it's probably to be expected. We obviously played out in Greece on Thursday night. You generally expect a couple of changes from the way Fleet once approached it in the past. So he'd said before the game the other night that James Tavernier wasn't suited to that one. To me, that meant he's going to definitely be playing on Sunday. I think there were a lot of people saying, based on Thursday night's performance, that Casemiro should have maybe started, or at least did Dujon Sterling, who showed up well for the first 60 minutes. Yeah. James Tavernier was in there, and I think he had a bit of pressure on him, it's fair to say, in terms of having to have a point to prove. Whether he did that or not, we'll come on to, but apart from that, it was pretty much as expected. Leon Balogun in for Robin Proper. Again, that was probably to be expected. I didn't have too much issue with the starting lineup, but by the way we started it seemed to be the right one.
Listen, those opening 10 minutes don't caught me off guard, but like that is the way you want Rangers to start a 100%. Game of football. It was fast. We were in Hearts' faces. I mean, I was like, this is good. It almost reminded me like the last time when we beat Hearts 5-0 here. That was the way we started. Yeah. There was a good goal in amongst all that. Came down the left-hand side initially. It was a Bayrami cross. It was dummied by Czerny, found Tav, and then Tav swung it in. I actually thought Dessers had missed this, but he did score the opening goal. What did you make of that goal in the opening 10 minutes?
It was a really nice bit of football. It was probably the second or third nice bit of football we had in that opening. I think it was a 6-minute. Cyril Dessers found the back of the net, and probably the third bit of nice football we'd had there. And you're thinking, right, it's typically after a European game we maybe struggle to get into a bit of rhythm, a bit of flow, but we seemed to be in it straight away. We were right up for it, and you're thinking, right, let's go. And the goal was a really nice goal. The ball across him towards Tav was good. How often do we see Tav up at the back post? Not that often these days. Yeah. But he was there. And actually, when I first saw it, I thought maybe Dessers had stole it on the line from being a James Tavernier goal. But whatever way it goes in, I don't really care, as long as it's a Rangers goal, and that's what it was. But you're then expecting us to kick on, and we maybe did for another 4 or 5 minutes, but then that was kind of it for the game.
Yeah, that was a thing you repeatedly saw on social media, and us ourselves, we were talking about it, and everybody in the gantry was discussing it, and Rangers took their foot off the gas. For me, a second...
Almost instantly?
Yeah, a second goal kills that game. Yeah. Why the hell are we doing that?
I don't know, it's so strange, but it's not the first time we've done it. I mean, you look across the other side of the city and they'll score one goal and then they'll get another 2 within the next 10 minutes and the game's done.
Do you think it's a lack of belief in the players themselves?
We just retreated, but there's no way that I believe the manager is telling the players score a goal and then then just sit back. There's no way. So it must be like an internal mentality thing, because Hearts are not a good football team. They passed us off the park for large parts of today's game, and we just retreated. And if you invite a team like that onto you, no matter how good they are, they're going to take the opportunity, and if they sense blood, they're going to have a bit of a go. And we definitely invited them onto us. I thought there were fits and starts of the first half where we were still okay, but we weren't great. We went into half time, and you were thinking, I don't really know what to make of that game. Like, first 10 minutes was really good, and then just a bit of a nothing.
Do you think it, again, before we get into the second half, because I'm delaying getting into the second half because I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest, which is so bizarre given that Rangers have won 1-0 at home after...
Yeah, I feel really flat after it,
yeah,
to be honest.
It's odd, but like, I've totally distracted myself and forgot what my question was there, but yeah, just in terms of that second... let's just talk about the second half, right, because I forgot what my question was there. That's how bad that game was. I'm disorientated by the whole thing, but... I was expecting Rangers to come out, the manager to have given them a rocket at half time, but it was the opposite. It was a slack Rangers pass that basically let was it Vargas in? I have no idea what the hell happened with that. Butland coming, and then stopping when the ball was coming to it. That's what it was. That was the question. I've remembered it now. What do you think about our decision making? And that is players looking to receive the ball, players looking to pass the ball, when to make challenges. I just felt that 90% of the decisions we were not making them with conviction, and we just didn't believe that we were going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a real issue in the final third. I think it's been a real issue in the final third for this whole season. Really, we've not really overcome that and thought, right, we've made the vast majority of the right choices there in a game. It was really bad. Again today, the real issue I have at this moment in time is the amount of time we give away possession in dangerous areas in our own half, just through a slack pass, or we spoke about it during the game, when it's almost like they're leaving it for someone else.
Yeah.
It's like
somebody else's problem.
They don't take responsibility with the ball and say, right, this has come to me, I'm in a difficult spot, but I'm going to take it and take charge of this and make sure that it's still our ball. We didn't. So many times that didn't happen. Diomande did that a few times again today. I thought he had an okay game to start with, to be honest. But the issues are in the final third and how slack we are in possession at times.
My next question is how is it possible for 11 players, and I know Clement said it in the press conference, I think it was on Thursday, and even the weekend before that against Motherwell, there's players been in the building that's 2 months, but I mean the professional football players, that 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever it is, how does that look like 11 guys that had never played football together? I mean, how does that lack chemistry?
But after 10 minutes you turned to me and said Clement said November would be when we played our best football, and he says maybe we're starting to see it. We got far too far ahead of ourselves after 10 minutes, because it just went completely downhill, and it's really, really worrying, because Hearts didn't take their chances, but they had a few, and they're, as I said earlier on, Hearts are not a good football team, they're down towards the bottom of the league for a reason. Yeah.
The next question I've got, 68 minute mark, was it Tav came off, which I think everybody was kind of largely expecting, but this one, Connor Barron coming off, that got a reaction from the crowd.
Yeah,
what did you make of that?
Reaction, was it? It was roundly booed by all four stands here at Ibrox, and it was a strange one because we weren't in control of the game at that point. We were in a midfield battle which we were losing at that stage. There was issues all over the park. No one was playing well. No one was wanting the ball. No one was taking the game by the scruff of the neck. Mm-hmm. And the two players that have done that for us in previous matches have been Nico Raskin and Connor Barron. So then why do you take one of them off? I think when we saw it was Casemiro and Sterling that were coming on, I think it was 66th minute, I think both thought it would be basically changing the right hand side. You've taken James Tavernier off, and probably taking Václav Černý off, and just changing that and bringing a bit more pace, a bit more physicality there. But the fact that Connor Barron came off was a really strange one. Now, we've not heard the press conference. It might say, it was the sports science, or it was the medical department, or I'm trying to manage minutes, or something like that. But I don't think that's an excuse when you're only 1-0 up at home and you're clearly struggling. So it was a really strange decision for me, and not one that I was happy with, really, in any way. The
substitutions that we made throughout that game suggested to me that Clement at that point was setting up shop, was ready to say, right, we'll accept 1-0 here. That wasn't the game
but it
wasn't
for me. It wasn't even like we were defending well. It's fair enough if you're set up as a solid thing. Not fair enough, because we should never do that at Ibrox, but if you're set up as a solid team that can defend well, like we did on Thursday night, there was big portions of that game where we were set up and everyone knew their role and they were getting it back into positions and making it difficult for Olympiacos. We did not make that difficult for Hearts to break through us or anything like that. So the thought of setting up shop to see out a 1-0 win with 25 minutes to go at Ibrox against Hearts is just unthinkable. But even if that is the case, the team wasn't playing well enough to do that, so then you need to counter that by going and getting a second goal. Yeah, and
I'll play devil's advocate a wee bit with this question, because I think everybody already knows my thoughts on today's performance, but maybe are we looking at it wrong? Is it the fact that we've had a tough game away in Europe? It was obviously hot over there as well, like a lot hotter than it is here at the moment.
Absolutely freezing.
I know, but my wee hand warmers in my pocket are keeping me nice and toasty. But is it a case of that maybe we should just accept the fact that we didn't play well, we had a tough European away game, and we should just take the fact that we've come away with 3 points despite not playing well?
I think 3 points and a clean sheet are the two positives that you can take from that one. not one that anyone will remember at the end of the season.
No.
It's not one that anyone will look back fondly on. The fact we're going into an international break now is a bit frustrating, because you kind of want another game soon after to keep the good feeling going. I don't know. It's a weird atmosphere around the team and around the club at the moment. Everyone's almost kind of waiting for the next trip up. For large parts of that second half, I thought maybe that big trip up was coming today. It didn't, thankfully. 3 points. We are heading into the international break. The third one of this season is far too many. We're heading into the international break. 9 points behind Celtic and 9 points behind Aberdeen. That's unthinkable, and it's the second time I've used the word unthinkable, but it's unthinkable in itself that we are that far behind at this stage. But we just need to keep ticking over with those points, get ourselves back into contention somehow, and hopefully find some rhythm and a way of playing for this team. But I'm not optimistic of doing that, and I'm not optimistic that we can really close the gap in any way.
Yeah, and my final question here, do you think that any Rangers player actually played well today? Because I know the chat around about half-time is that there was some solid performances in terms of like a 5 or a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Is that our issue at the minute, that we just have too many players playing at a 5, a 6, a 7, and there's not enough? Like even 1 or 2 playing at a 9 at a 10 would have made a bit of a difference today.
Yeah, I think the person we're talking about at half time is Hefty, who we think consistently gives 6 or 7 out of 10. You made a joke about what was it?
Being Portuguese for Papac.
Portuguese for Papac.
That's terrible.
That was an awful joke.
I know, that's why I wasn't saying it on the podcast.
But he is consistent, which is good. They offer something different. He's an upgrade on last year's left back. Connor Barron and Nico Raskin have been really good the past few weeks, and that's really good to see. Is anyone a standout? No. Cyril Dessers?
No.
I wasn't saying standout, but he scored again. He scores a goal, a game-winning goal.
But that's all he done. That's all he done today. You could instantly see when Danilo came on the pitch, holding it up, passing it. Like I get that he's scoring goals, and I know he's won us the game effectively, but he needs to do more. He needs to. He
does need to do more, but he needs the service as well, and he wasn't getting that.
Yeah.
There's far too many issues to get into on this podcast. I think it's that game was really concerning for me today. I don't walk away from that game with any real positivity or hope for going forward. I feel almost like it's a step forward whenever we play in Europe, and then a step back whenever we come back to the Scottish Premiership, and that's a concern. And we really need to fix how we are getting through these games, and we need to firstly go for that second goal whenever we just go 1-0 up. Secondly, we need to be better at managing games. Thirdly, we need to find a way to play against these teams that's much more convincing, much more reflective of our Rangers team and how we expect our Rangers team to play. And fourthly, I lost track how many times I said there. Fourthly, we need to win convincingly and get the fans back on side. At the moment, Fleet Commont is struggling from game to game to game, and we're only in November. We're only at start November. You can't do that all the way through until May. This season's been painful enough as it has been so far. We can't keep doing this all the way through to May.
Yeah, listen, like the Rangers team, I think we've just about made it through that podcast there. Some 5 and 6 out of 10 from the two of us there. But listen, thanks very much everybody for tuning in. We will be back on Wednesday. That'll be myself hosting that one, and hopefully things are a wee bit more positive by then. But take care everybody, and we'll see you all again soon.